Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Oh, let me tell you something, folks. He did it all for the nookie. We're back with an all-new Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays next.
Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans, welcome to another all-new, brand-new Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Johnny, I made it home alive from Las Vegas.
Glad to hear that. I understand it was touch and go. Marjo was looking for you.
She wasn't looking for me.
She was. I got a personal phone call. She said to me, Mr. Cena, I don't know how to tell you this, but I am no longer interested in you. I have seen that big Dan Marty. So I am now looking for the new lemon meringue on my pie, and that's Dan Marty. So, what can I say, Marjo? It's been a good ride. Good luck with Dan.
Well, if there's anyone that knows about the meringue in Marjo's pie, I think it would be you.
No, it's you now.
Well, we'll see.
We're
I know a lot of people disappointed you weren't with me at the CAC reunion. They said, when is Fabo finally going to make it out? You talk about us all the time on your talk show. You're gracious enough to put the banner on your website and on all your TV shows. The only thing missing is the guy himself.
Please,
I
God.
said maybe next year, 2022.
Yes. Please, God, if everything goes right next year and health stays with me, I'm going to make a promise.
A promise?
I'm going to make a promise.
You don't make false promises.
No, I'm going to stick my neck in a noose, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Next year, I promise I'll be at the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Well, I'll tell you this, Johnny. It was an embarrassment. But, you know, I told you there was that individual that I wanted to see so little of that I was willing to go and play Santa Claus for my, I guess, ex-friend at this point, Tony Atlas, who you know relations aren't great with at this moment. But the dislike of this other individual is so strong, I would be willing to virtually shovel Tony's driveway to avoid seeing him. You know what he did at the bologna blow-up? He took 2 extra sandwiches and put them in his pocket.
What's wrong with that?
Well, most people put them on a plate and eat them.
Well, but you know what? Take them back to your room and enjoy them later.
You know who the only other person that ever did that there was? Our other fool of a friend, Hossein Khosrow Vaziri. The year he mortified me when I took him there, he was, and to his credit, to show his level of fame, and this is, you know, a lot of high-powered, you know, stars in this room. For whatever reason, the waitress said to the Sheik, he was the only one she recognized. And then he started to work her. After we had our dinner, he goes, oh, please, lovely lady, you bring Sheik one more dinner, please, please. So she was nice enough to go to the back. She brought the Sheik out another prime rib, and and then about 10 minutes later, he asked her for her to go back.
All I can say is this. You know,
I've never seen anything like it in my life. Not that I should have been surprised, but I was surprised.
You know, I wouldn't be. I think the Sheik...
They're all grovelers.
Well, not even a groveler. The Sheik is a whole different person. I know when we worked with him, I worked with him, he was so elated that we'd take him to a restaurant instead of a Burger King, that he actually had food. So
a nice meal.
I don't look at it that way. Prime rib is something you probably didn't have a lot of. Yeah. So it's a thing, you know. And I don't judge people.
We got into one of the great fights of our lives in Las Vegas. I guess he was kind enough to treat his cocaine dealer to breakfast on my credit card, and he didn't realize that if you put the television on, it would list itemized listings of the things you purchased. And I asked the Sheik about it, and he got quite explosive about it, feeling that because he graced the Cauliflower Alley Club with his presence, a nonprofit organization that tries to raise money for wrestlers in need, but because he was there, it warranted his dealer being able to have some Gold Coast Casino pancakes and French toast. So...
That's all right.
No, it wasn't all right.
Pancakes and Waffles? What's wrong with that?
For his cocaine dealer?
You know what?
Do you really think I wanted to pay for that? Just out of general curiosity?
But you know what?
I should have expected it?
I just kind of sit back and I say, regardless of who it was or what it was a little bit of an effort by the sheik to say, have breakfast. I wouldn't have known the guy was a cocaine dealer. I don't think anybody else would have known it was a cocaine dealer. So, I recently had somebody make a comment about AEW when CM Punk came to the ring. The camera focused on a grown man crying. And they were laughing and joking. So what do you think of that? Ha, 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 ha. I said, and I'm going to rephrase what I said in a different way. Mm-hmm. How do you know that that person wasn't mentally challenged? How do you know that that young person wasn't a person who may have appeared to be 40, but mentally was 16? Do not judge until you know. And I don't like to throw stones. I never throw stones. Don't live in a glass house. Don't piss in the wind. My whole thing is, maybe that was out of line for you, but when you sit back and look at it, you go, well, who else would know that it was who you say it was?
The medicine dealer.
Well, there you go. Let it go. Let it go. Why make an issue out of $12, $15? Who cares? He wasn't buying snow with it, so
No.
Who really cares? I guess you and I have a different outlook
I
on
was
life.
very insulted, Johnny. I brought him as my guest, and then he found the need to exploit my credit card on top of it. Not only for himself, but for his quote-unquote guests.
Well, here's what
I thought that was a little much.
But here's what I'm going to say to you.
All right.
Shame on you for giving him the credit card.
Well, you have to on the room.
Well, that's fine. But I know, as well as you know, that when you go to the front desk, you give them that card, you say the only person outside of what's purchased in room belongs to me. Nobody else is allowed to charge on this card without my approval. So you know what?
That was my bad.
I'm not knocking you at all, but I'm just saying that maybe life is a journey. Hopefully, when we hit a pothole or a curve, we learn. We don't condemn. We don't throw stones. We go forward and say, John Cena Sr., you screwed up. I'm going to make a confession to everybody here,
Really?
I had a real bad temper. I was kind of verbally abusive. But you know what? I learned. And I said, you know what? I looked in the mirror and I said, if you continue in this avenue, you're the biggest asshole and you will never have friends and nobody will be around you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. And thank those around me and myself for looking in the mirror. And I say this to my boys, I say this to you, and I'll say it to other people out there. Before you condemn, before you threaten, before you go after anyone, go home, look in the mirror. When you're perfect, go ahead and chase. But you know what? Hate to say this, folks, but I get some cracks in the mirror. So I don't chase. I don't try to make fun of. I don't try to put down. I try to understand. And that's the way I live my life. And here I am pontificating where I shouldn't be. And I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking Sheiky Baby. And he's a good friend of ours, as you know. We love him dearly.
He drives us nuts in situations like that.
I wish and pray we could get him back for November 13th or April 16th. I mean, I just can't wait to see that man. I love him to death.
We need to see him again.
He's got a big heart.
That is a must.
Yeah, so,
Well, at the end of the day, at the end of life, you had two friends screaming at each other over pancakes and waffles for a drug dealer. But I ask you, fans,
for how much? $15?
I don't remember how much. To me, it was the matter of the fact that I would not just take his credit card and do what I wanted with it. That's just not how I am.
But you're not him.
And I was insulted.
In his mind, and I'm not, I'm
No,
not
no,
here
I'm
to
not
be judge
saying
and
you're
jury.
defended.
But in his mind, he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. He thought he was, regardless of what this man.
Oh, I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
Okay, but that's okay. But regardless, he bought the man breakfast. He didn't buy snow with your credit card, so it didn't go up his
No, he didn't buy the drugs with
It
the
didn't
credit
go up his
card, thank
nose.
God. No.
So you know what? Pancake, sausage, and a breakfast. Even Jesus had dinner with sinners and publicans. Didn't condemn, didn't throw any stones. So you know what? Okay, Sheik, I understand you bought the breakfast. Wasn't the smartest thing for either one of us to do. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the day. And you, because you know what? You got a good head. Think about it. I always tell my sons this, and I keep the old man myself on key with this. And once in a while I tell Moniece the same thing. Put your brain in gear before putting your mouth in motion. Just think about it. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, you know what, fans? I'm going to ask you. I'll pass the baton to you. If you're watching during the premiere, if you were in Dan Maloney's sandals, as we like to say, would you have been upset if the Iron Sheik took your credit card to buy breakfast for his medicine dealer? I'm interested to know what you think. When you took the man out there as a treat almost to let him enjoy the cauliflower as it is, maybe I'm more wrong than I think I am. Like you said, I look back at it now and I say, you know what? Was it the end of the world that it happened 12, 11 years later? No. I mean, am I dead without that money? No. Again, I think it was the loyalty factor that I would have never done that, taken his money like that. You know what I mean?
You know, I have a dear friend, Andy Wong, at the Kowloon restaurant.
That makes two of us, FYI.
And I just want to tell you, Andy Wong many times has said to me, be the bigger person and take the high road. Take the high road. And you know what? Greatest lesson in the world. I'm going, boy, when I see that kid of mine, and I don't mean John, I have 5 of them. 5 of them. And they all can be pains in the asses, believe me. I love them to death, and I'd give my life for my sons. But sometimes they get to the point, and I'm going, what stands in my mind is, take the high road, be the bigger person, be the better person. And you know what? Thanks, Andy. It pays off.
Andy gives you words of wisdom.
He's the whole Wong family, Bobby, Andy, the staff there. I can't praise them enough. And I will be saddened when they officially phase out, close their doors. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna make a prediction. I don't think it's over for the Kowloon.
It won't be the same, though.
It will be the same.
You think so?
Yeah, because you know what? It's no different than you having 5,000 seats preventing a great wrestling show, cutting back to 2,500 because you can't get the staff. It's more expensive. Older people don't want to work anymore. They're ready for retirement. Your children could give a shit less about your wrestling business. So I think in the long run, it'll still be that great Asian food, that great Wong hospitality. I think and I pray that maybe it won't be 12 to 1,400 seats. Maybe it might be 300 to 500, but it will still be the thing that I love, and I know all those fans out there love. It'll still be the best place to have Asian food, the Kowloon restaurant.
Can you imagine the line to get in? Look
You
at
know
what
what?
it's like now.
The lines are brutal now. Moniece had her brother, Steve, and Erica and their 2 children come up. They had never experienced the Kowloon.
Oh, it must have been a real treat.
And he said this on the way out. He said, man, the quality of food is unbelievable. So, and they were like ecstatic. And I'm looking at the lobby and I'm going, thank you, Lord. They deserve everything that's coming. People in line waiting to get in because they're afraid that they're going to miss something that they never experienced. You know, I know that I can just look at the cabinet and see souvenirs flying out of there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I'm going to...
And I think more people want to go now more than ever because I think there is some confusion. I think that a lot of people think the Kowloon is going to be gone within weeks.
Yeah, I talked to somebody from New York, as
Right,
a matter of fact.
yeah.
And I said to them, I said, you coming down? They're friends of Moniece. Matter of fact, it's her sister. They're in Las Vegas now, her and her boyfriend. Are you going to be coming down? Because I really want to take you to the Kowloon and experience some great food and great human beings. And she said, well, we're in Vegas now, but, you know, it's going to close in a month anyway, so we'll miss it. It's not closing
I don't
in
know
a
where
month.
that misconception came
Well,
from.
the New York Times ran an article which was kind of misleading, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
But did they? I didn't read
Closing.
the article, but it.
Closing is, see, instead of quoting Andy and Bobby and getting the real facts, it's like when the Boston Globe first broke the story. What was the headline? Saugus Landmark closing.
And that, when I read it as was, the fake news headline, so to speak, that was like a knife to the gut.
Thank you very much. So, you know what?
That's a whole, like I said, a lifetime worth of memories in that place.
September 13th, TD Bank, WWE, Raw. Go. After Raw, who knows? This old man might be sitting at a table by himself.
I'm not that old.
No, me.
Oh, you were pointing
This
at
old
me.
man,
All right.
oh, I'm sorry. This old man might be sitting at a table by himself. Come on over and say hi. But say hi to the real world of professional wrestling, the superstars. Hopefully they'll be there enjoying that great Asian food.
Or, my birthday is coming up. Hopefully I'll get to enjoy Kowloon. We were there when Marty Jannetty was in town, and it was just one of those nights. We had the food. It was fresh. It was absolutely perfect. It was delicious. I hate to say it, Johnny, I had seconds.
Well,
I had seconds.
they won't allow what happened the last time.
What
you
happened?
can't have that midget jump out of the cake.
All right.
It's not going to happen.
I didn't want to share that.
All right, well, I did see there's some dirt here. No, all right.
All right, wrestling fans, we talked a little Chinese food. After this brief timeout, we'll be back to talk more about the king of sports. Professional wrestling is now years, have become months. Now we're talking weeks, baby. We're getting closer and closer to our 20th anniversary bash, Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose. Check it out.
Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the momentum here in Boston wrestling continues as we continue to build and build and build. The fans want to know, how do we help? We subscribe to the Patreon, but we see all the great merchandise on that set. Coronavirus may have killed the nightlife, especially for someone like Marty, but our acclaimed eBay store is open 24/7 around the world.
Wow. Check it out.
Support wrestling insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this WWE NXT TakeOver War Games 2020 11x14 limited edition autograph poster signed by everyone on the event, number 23 of only 100 made. Includes signatures from the Undisputed Era, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher, Io Shirai, Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, Dexter, Loomis, and more. Comes with authentication hologram on the back of the poster. Also comes with mystery autographed 8x10 and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now.
Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. Between Andy Wong up at Kowloon, Jack Tsai over at Red Rose, we know some great people in the world of Chinese food.
Yes, we do.
And we're
We
lucky.
do. And two different types of food.
Very
two
different.
types of businesses, and always nice human beings.
Great human beings across the board. No matter where you go, if you're in Melrose, you get your Red Rose. If you're out and about on the highways and byways, the Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex on Route 1 North in Saugus, it is a institution.
Are you buying lunch today?
You already got it. It's right
Oh,
there.
all right. I'm sorry.
See it in the cup?
Yeah, okay. I guess Red Rose doesn't get hit up today. Only kidding. Only kidding.
Let's talk more about wrestling. I didn't know why Chinese food conversation was going to go.
I think that was a good conversation, though. I
We
really
always
do.
have great conversations.
The fans like what we have to say. It's not like other podcasts or other broadcasts.
Well, there's a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
I've never understood those where they just feel the need for an hour to just scream nonstop.
Well, I've been.
I think you lose the. I think there are times when you can get loud and aggressive about things, but if you're going to do it for the context of an entire show, I think it loses its purpose.
Each to his
One
own.
man's opinion.
My opinion is each to his own.
there you go.
I've been on those shows. I've been in a lot of podcasts and TV stuff. I'm just me. I come down for the fans to do what we do, to put smiles on faces, and I love the people that are here and the stars that come down to work with us. So I'm having fun. Let's go on with it.
Well, I tell you, we're in for a hell of a weekend, November 13th.
I'm ready.
I'm
I'm
sure
ready.
we're going to be talking about heading up to that fine establishment at least one night, but we won't get into that right now.
I am ready.
We talked a lot about AEW last week. We kind of ended the show with an interesting thought. Is 2021 the 1995-96 version of WWF? Let me ask you this, though. Is the 2021-2022 edition presentation of AEW maybe the 97-98 WCW, where they're on top of the world, they have every hot talent they can get their hands on wanting to come and work for them, but at the end of the day, they don't have the background, they don't have the experience of a WWF, and as time goes on and that new fresh car smell wears off, they don't know quite what to do with the bodies they have on hand. And then it becomes a mess. Or do you think that Tony Khan is in it for the long run and can guide the ship in the right direction for decades to come? Eric Bischoff had some very, very successful years, but, again, at some point, they became too ratings happy as far as worried about winning the ratings war as opposed to the finances involved, and in the end, it ultimately destroyed that company. Could you see AEW going that route, even though right now they are, much like the food at Kowloon, piping hot?
Well, the thing I see is this. There's a big difference between Eric Bischoff and WCW. Right now, AEW is not out to destroy, bury, or compete with WWE. I've seen no indication of that. Things that Bischoff did were basically, I'm going to get you, I'm going to screw you over, I'm going to release the results of your matches before. I don't see any of that. I think AEW is that little guy selling the hot dogs in New York, in the park. The big guy's over here at 175, and he's just over here doing his thing. He's not interested in competing or hurting his competition. He's interested in giving you the best product you can for your money. And right now, I think that's what AEW is. I don't think Tony Khan is a shot and then run. I think he's in this for the long haul. I think he cares about his product. He cares about the individuals he's working with. And, I'm not going to knock anybody except to say that, he's got one of the, I think, a good mind in Arn Anderson. Why the hell did WWE let that man go over stupidity? Stupidity. Everybody else did something
Over some piece of garbage, in my opinion.
right, but you look at what other folks have done in that operation, and they're still there. But you take a man like Arn Anderson, who's a genius in the business, and they let him go. Mark Henry, another very smart man, look where he is. Paul Wright, another man who I think has got a grasp on what's happening. Nobody is trying to bury anybody with this thing. It's not like AEW goes head-to-head with WWE Tuesday night. You don't see that. It's an AEW product by the fans, for the benefit of everyone, and they're benefiting all the talent. Will they ever reach a point where AEW has to act like WWE and say, John Cena Sr., we really enjoyed your bit with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, but you're just not putting asses in seats anymore. So the unfortunate fact is we're going to have to let you go. I think that what young people in the business need to understand, as well as some of the older people, there's life after professional wrestling. And that's very difficult for people to comprehend and understand. You know, they think it's going to last forever. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't care how big a superstar you are. At some point, it ends. It ends. And I think those that understand it realize Austin, Rock, Cena, Calloway, they all say to themselves, I've reached this point. I think it's time to slow down and eventually get out. If you can't see that, then you've got an issue. And AEW is sitting back now, and they're doing what I think you and I would do. We're building a roster. We're building a very good roster. Now, the point becomes, will we have AEW 1, 2, and 3, much like WWE and NXT? I pray for NXT, because who now is in charge of NXT?
Well,
Vince McMahon, and remember the tale of NXT.
well, we were going to get there, but I wanted your opinion on that, you know, where we kind of threw out the fantasy comparison to the 90s with WWF as we ended our last program.
There is none.
You don't think Tony Khan will ever get that Bischoff in him?
I don't think Tony Khan's that type of guy. Everything I've seen Khan do has not been vengeful. You know, Bischoff, even a great mind. Please, Eric, I think the world when I see him, but Eric has got a great mind. But Eric went too far out of the box and caused the demise of a very successful business and hurt a lot of people on the way down.
Yeah.
So I don't think Khan's that type of person. I really don't. And he's playing with his own money. There's a big difference there.
Well, to some degree. I mean, they have a lot of guaranteed money coming in from TNT right now.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but he's still playing with his own billions. So, and he cares. You can see just the way things are handled. I mean, what operation says, okay, Dan, I'm bringing you in. You've got control over your character within reason and your storyline. Try that in the other operation.
Well, that's not said for everybody, Johnny, or it would be
I
it'd
understand
turn
that.
into WCW Part 2.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand, but you know where I'm going with
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Your key players are allowed to have input and say.
It seems like the people in AEW are a lot happier than WWE. And I think a lot can be said for that sometimes, even if the dollars and cents aren't the same. It's nice to go somewhere where you're happy every week and look forward to going every week.
Money's not everything. And
No.
as I say to people, they said, well, why did you retire so early? Because one morning I got up and my feet hit the floor and I said, oh shit, I've got to go to work and I've got to go there. That's it. When you're not happy getting up and going to your position, then it's time to get out. Get out. And I just think, back on the subject, I think Khan is not Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff was a breed unto himself who took the bull by the horns and did a great job with it until the man in the park began to raise the price of the hot dogs. And I'm telling you, I don't care what anybody says, if you bring the fight to Vince McMahon, he'll be a pit bull. He'll fight you. He'll fight you. And I'm going to tell you, 9 times out of 10, that man's going to win. He won by doing what?
It took him quite a while.
But he won.
It
and,
did.
And he was scared because he almost lost. But he never gave up, never quit. And the thing is, one way he got rid of his competition, which won't happen with Khan, is he bought it. You won't see that happen with AEW. I think Khan would close the doors first.
Why?
Before he'd surrender to WWE and say, yep, buy me out, I think that loses face. You really have to say, if I'm going to wave the white flag, what's going to happen when I sell you my product? The same thing that happened with ECW. All those people lost their jobs. Everybody I care about here, I don't need the money. I get billions and billions, so I'm not going to sell these men and women down the tube. Maybe I'll let you know what's going to happen. You make a decision. But if you stay, you know damn well that it's going to be over. Just my take.
Well, again, like we have noted, it is nice to see that there's at least one wrestling franchise with a little momentum behind it that the fans are happy to support, they're happy to see. You know, interested to see what surprises come next. I mean, it's rare nowadays that you have a genuine surprise in WWE television. I mean, you could run a Raw from May, and I don't know, well, other than the release, I don't know if you'd even know it was not the same program instead of a rerun.
What did I tell you about SummerSlam? You know what?
No.
They had the people by
And,
the short
and to be
hairs.
fair, that was actually a fresh lineup for SummerSlam.
No, I agree, but they had the people by the short hairs. They actually believed that John Cena Jr. was going to win the belt from Roman Reigns. How did they screw that up, writers?
They overdid
I'll
it.
put one
They
more on
overdid
the
it,
line.
yeah.
If I lose, I'll leave WWE. What? Oh, man, that was it. It was all over the internet.
Overbooking.
Well, but I already said the same thing. All the marks were right. They just gave us the finish. Reigns is going to win. So now we got the beast incarnate. Is he going to lay down for Roman Reigns too? The only storyline you got, and I got to give you credit, because there's another podcast that said the same thing. The interesting faction is going to be Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar. Never officially cut the tie. What's more interesting to Heyman, the title or the man? Who's going to beat who? Heyman's like a weasel, and I mean this in character, not as a person.
Yeah.
He'll go where the money is, where the belt is. If he thinks he can sell Reigns down the shitter, he will in favor of Lesnar. And who knows? Maybe Paul Heyman might be the special guest referee for the match and screw over Lesnar. That'd be really good.
You know what I find interesting, Johnny? Now, especially, I am always one to say that WWE lacks so much patience and lacks so much pacing issues. I was told in a conversation with someone in WWE this week they are not planning on having The Rock this year at WrestleMania. I don't know if he has a movie or whatever the circumstances may be. So they're going to have to try and come up with quite an angle to hold off on Lesnar and Roman, or make it a several-match series.
Hats off to Dwayne Johnson. Hats off for not coming to WrestleMania.
Why?
Well, you know what?
Why not go back to the people that helped make you and let you walk in the middle of your contract to help them when they need you? That's a bad thing? I couldn't see your son doing that.
I would say this. If I were going back to WrestleMania for free, that'd be a different story. But do you think I walked the carpet to that ring as Johnny Fabulous because I'm that popular for free? Do they pay The Rock to come to WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's a good thing that he's not going to go?
No, I think that Johnson, Dwayne Johnson, who
Yeah.
I have respect for, is finally saying, you know what? Maybe it's time that superstar does it on his own. Everybody in the business so far has busted their ass to put Roman Reigns over. So you're telling me that you're going to bring The Rock back, Reigns is going to beat him, and that will put him over? I don't think so. And I think WrestleMania will be the same, and maybe not without The Rock, because, look, I was in the front row, I was next to his mom, and when that man comes through the curtain, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin, when that glass breaks, that place shakes. So I think he contributes a lot. But if
Well,
they
that's
don't,
what I mean. I think it would
But
be
if-
nice to have him.
but if they don't have them, that says a lot. We can't get The Rock. We're not going to have him, but we've got a surprise coming down the road. I think just like you. What did you do when you were hit in the gut? When somebody said to you, looks like November 13th might be over.
We had to make some lemonade out of a lemon.
Okay. And that's what WWE needs to do. They've got to have the wow factor. It's really saying we don't need The Rock every year to make this work. We don't need John Cena Jr. every year to make this work.
He is, I'll say this, he is penciled in for the one in Los Angeles the year after. So maybe if we are ever going to see Roman and The Rock, that would be it. I don't think at The Rock's age he's got too many left in him.
I would agree. I would concur and agree.
Unless we're going to go the Billy Goldberg route. You love Billy.
I think the world of Bill Goldberg, and I said this before, I would not want to meet that man and be in a bar fight with him. He'd tear me apart.
You just don't want to watch his wrestling matches anymore.
It's not good for him, and it's not good for the opponent.
I do have to say, I like the angle that they came out of SummerSlam with, but we already spoke about that. Right now, fans, we're going to take a brief time out as we continue the path down, well, only 2 blocks for us, down the road to Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, Saturday night, November the 13th. It's going to be Boston Wrestling MWF's 20th anniversary.
Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Get this limited edition collector's autograph print personally signed by two-time WWE Hall of Famer Nature Boy Ric Flair, inscribed 16 times for each of his recognized World Championship reigns. One of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Ric Flair collectible for your wrestling collection now.
Cheer. Why, hello. I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
Wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insiders, Fabulous Fridays. I believe segment 3, Johnny. When you and I get going, we're like two old pals, just chewing the fat, talking about the world of professional wrestling.
That's what it's all about.
The great fans are super chatting away over in the premiere. They're sharing their thoughts on what we're talking about. A little bit in the world of women's wrestling that we haven't touched upon, Johnny. I know the big news coming out of AEW's pay-per-view is obviously CM Punk's in-ring debut, along with the first appearances of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, fresh out of the WWE Universe, but one that got over very strong, probably because it was in Chicago in front of a pay-per-view crowd that's the type to pay the big money to fly in for it, but great reaction, kind of a great moment. The debut of Ruby Riot, the women's division, known as Ruby Soho, I believe, in the company now. What a nice night for her in AEW.
You know, you can see the difference when somebody premieres at AEW and WWE. There's a whole big difference there. There's respect that goes along with the premiere. And you know what I feel, and you and I have our difference of opinions, but women have been underutilized and sold short for a long time. Well, Marty, I'll tell you what. I'd be willing to put you in the ring with a woman of my choice and watch her kick your ass.
Well, considering I can barely walk,
I
that
wouldn't
might
give a
not be
shit
that
if you were in
hard.
good shape. You probably would be on your ass.
Now, you know what? I would take you up on that challenge if maybe the first initial began with the T.
Oh.
I wouldn't mind that one.
Another story for another time.
That's right.
Another story.
Yeah,
that woman would definitely be on her ass.
Yeah, let me
And
tell
more.
you, baby.
Yeah, that would be revenge.
Well, she knows ass quite well, according to several men, but that's a different story for different times.
Yes, sir.
Educated Annie. But anyway.
All right.
Ruby Riot, though, I mean, again, someone that WWE did virtually
Nothing with
after her initial debut.
Nope.
And in one night, granted, she is fresh from WWE TV, so she's going to get that big pop coming out. But it just feel like having her win the version of the female casino battle royale, it gave her some rub. It made her seem important. Brittany Baker, the girlfriend of Adam Cole, the AEW Women's Champion, as a new credible challenger to...
DDM.
S, isn't it? Or is it M?
I don't know.
I think it's DDS.
Doctor of Dentistry, whatever she is. She's a real dentist.
I know, yeah.
Ivan Yankin would like to meet her.
I'd like to have Isaac Yankem. Well, anyway.
Contact him. He's available.
I think it makes for a better women's division. And you know me, I'm not one to throw out the praise too quick towards a lot of the women's wrestling. On the pay-per-view, I was critical that you had a dentist wrestling an alien. You know, that's not my cup of tea, Johnny. I'm sorry. I don't appreciate the wrestling alien.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you like the alien wrestler, but I think it takes a strange mentality to enjoy something like that.
I agree.
But it is what it is. I think, I imagine Baker and Soho are going to lock it up, if not on the next pay-per-view, on a well-built-up match on one of their TV shows, and I think there will be some interest behind it.
I'm impressed with those women. I really am at AEW.
They have some good ones, and they have some that don't belong on TV.
I agree. You and I can agree to disagree, but I agree with you on that point. I agree. I'm not saying every woman wrestler is an outstanding star. I think that every woman who enters professional wrestling gives it her best. Not everyone comes out at 100%. And in that case, you either go back to the little league and learn how to get better, or you make a decision to leave the business. That's simple.
Along the lines of women wrestling, I'm sure you were familiar with, and probably bought it twice on pay-per-view, the NWA Women's pay-per-view Empower that Mickie James helped produce.
You know what? I hate to admit this.
I'd like to know how many buys there were on that one.
Well, I hate to admit this, but I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? No.
I was so
You got it on the DVR, though.
I do not.
No.
I do not. I know that the lineup she had, I worked several shows with Mickie James. She's a tremendous athlete, great person.
I don't think she wrestled on it.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, no, she just produced
I
it.
thought she was involved in a quickie.
She was in, she may be an angle, but
Yeah,
I was pretty sure ahead of time I had seen that she was not going to be competing.
The lineup was okay.
Yeah.
I will try to catch some of the show so I can comment better on what there is to say. I think one of the things that I was surprised at, and probably not surprised, was the retirement of Kia.
That's what I wanted to mention. A longtime close personal friend who I met through the Cauliflower Alley Club. You talk about someone that was utilized to perfection by our friend Dutch Mantell down in TNA. Awesome Kong. Then they also had her brief run as Karma in WWE.
Correct.
When she had a feud with the Bella twins.
Too bad she didn't squash him.
Yeah.
Literally.
Could have saved people a lot of headaches.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, it would have cost a lot of people their wives, though, so maybe not. But you know what? What a good person, someone that, you know what, you wouldn't want to make her angry. She certainly had her moments where she decimated some males behind the scenes.
Yeah, I was going to say, male or female.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
But a woman with a great heart, a woman that did a lot of great charity work, a woman that loved this business, gave this business credibility, gave women, not just women's wrestling credibility, I think she gave pro wrestling credibility. And that's why I'll always consider her a friend. WWE was gracious enough to let her have her final match before going to WWE with us at Memorial Hall. We did that nice tribute to her after her cage match war with your old buddy Jay Buster.
Yep.
You and Jay Lethal came out and presented her with flowers.
Yep.
It was a very, very nice moment, I thought, in MWF history.
I agree. And
Great lady.
I am sorry to see Kong leave the professional wrestling business, but like everything else, all good things must come to an end. Where she goes from here, I don't know. As you know, Glow has been canceled. It's all done now. That was a great outlet for her. Professional wrestling, she wasn't being used much. So I think the stature of the woman, the size of the person, the persona she brought to the ring, it's just the end of an era, the end of an era. So I hate to quote the man, but I wish her all the best on her future endeavors, wherever she goes. Truly may she be blessed. She's a wonderful human being. And Freight Train, the best to you, my friend.
Another
too.
good man.
Yep.
Let me ask you this, and maybe I would...
It's his wife.
Oh, I know. As we are pre-taping this, they are regulars at the Cauliflower. Maybe I'll bump into her there.
Hope you do.
Could you potentially see her with some involvement in the FWW? Maybe a general manager or a bodyguard or a...
I can see her.
I think you might need a bodyguard to keep you away from these women.
Nah, I got Moniz. FWW, another thing for another time, but
Maybe in 2022.
She'd be great in the FWW. Vicky Guerrero would be great in the FWW. Mickie James would be great in the FWW. I mean, if we're going to build it, we might as well build it right. I just think that where she goes from wrestling, I really don't know. Train hasn't been wrestling much. I haven't seen much of him.
No.
Dan, I haven't seen much of him at all. So I don't know where they're going from here. I think they're in Florida.
I thought they were last time we spoke, I thought they were either headed to or were in Cali.
Okay. So I don't know where they're going to go.
That's why usually I bump into them at the Cauliflower.
I hope
when we
so.
have lunch or dinner.
Give them my
or-
best, please.
Well, they'll be disappointed you're not there.
I'm sure of that one. No, I'm sure of that one. We had a great relationship, the three of us. You know, I just wish her the best, and I don't know where she's going from here. But wherever it is, I'm sure she's got a direction. Glow certainly helped her out. She certainly must have done well there. And then her final run in wrestling did well for her there. So where you go from here?
Again, you know, like I said, she was heavily involved in many nonprofits. Maybe that's the future for her outside of wrestling, involved in a nonprofit organization.
Who knows? You know, I don't know what caused it.
They do a lot with the animals too. I know
Dan was
the
big
dogs,
into that.
yeah.
I did a lot of wrestling shows with Dan where we just ran it for the dogs. I remember doing a match with Dan where if I lost, because I locked his dog up in the cage and was going to have it euthanized, you know.
Really?
Oh, John
That's
Fabulous.
a bit much.
Well, but it worked. It worked. It worked. The crowd was behind him, and if I lost, I had to eat dog food with a dog collar and a leash on. So I did that.
I'd like to see that happen to a few people at the studio, but I
A
wouldn't
Cam
even go
Zagami
there.
would be nice to see that happen.
Euthanized? Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that.
You'd just make him eat dog food.
All a storyline, my friend. Oh, dog food. Well, maybe another kind of dog, but we won't
You
go
know, the
there.
way some of his adventures outside of wrestling, he might have had a dog collar on before, for all we know, but
I'm not going there. Like I say, don't piss in the wind.
I'll tell you this, we've talked about the losses from WWE, but I think a major signing that's kind of gone under the radar is that they were able to sign the U.S. Olympic medalist, Gable Steveson,
I noticed
to a
that.
contract.
I saw that.
I don't know why more wasn't made about that. That's a major coup to them, as far
Well-
as, in one man's opinion.
Another Kurt Angle coming up.
That's a tough comparison.
Well,
I think if you get, not that I'm knocking him, but even a Shelton level athlete, you know, if you get a great mid-card career out of someone like that, it would be great.
You never know.
To
You never
put
know.
the expectation on someone that they're going to be a main eventer, that's awfully tough to live up to.
that's your goal when you get signed.
Perhaps should be.
That's
it should
your
be.
goal. That's your goal. So, you know, it's not the first Olympic medalist they've
No.
had. Campatera was in there. You know, you had Kurt Angle in there. Iron Sheik was there. And now you get this guy. So the question is, and when I saw it, I read it, and I said, okay, so how are we going to use this gentleman? What's the storyline going to be? I can only wait.
I think he needs several years in the Performance Center before I'd even think of a storyline for him.
You know, I was criticized way back when the NXT group was being brought up to the main roster and defeating those individuals on the main roster to get them over. I wasn't a fan of that. You and I both know how I feel about this business. We all had to pay our dues.
Right.
Well, they didn't pay their dues, so I wasn't happy about that. But they may take this young man, get him what I call a rush job, and bring him to the roster and watch him fail and get rid of him. That's typically what's happening lately.
Well, I mean, Mark Henry, he came in fresh from the Olympics too, and it took him about 10 years to get over to the point where he was of value outside of that, the angle where he made love with Mae Young.
That was, you know what?
Sexual
There
chocolate.
again, I sit back and say to myself, I realize you're being paid by the company, and perhaps he had no input on what was happening there.
I would hope.
That was absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. You know what? If you talk about something condescending to a race and to a person, that was...
Why was that condescending to a race?
I didn't see any white athletes involved in that. Nobody, they didn't pull that
But
shit.
do you mean by the name Sexual Chocolate?
No,
or
that's
do you
fine.
mean that he made
Just
love to Mae Young?
And gave birth to a Tootsie Roll.
No, a
That's,
hand.
Yeah, well, whatever.
It wasn't a Tootsie
I know
Roll.
it was. I know
It was
what
a white hand.
I understand that. Talk about a slap in the face. that come out
Literally.
Of the Addams family, right? I'm sorry. You know what? I said this before, and I'll say it again. Whomever it might be, who has that sense of humor, you're one sick mother. Things like that just weren't funny. Fans didn't laugh.
I remember being at Madison Square Garden the night it happened, and the fans were blown away in a not so positive way by what they were seeing. It was
just-
insanity.
I just don't know who thinks these things up.
I'll tell you this, I think if she actually gave birth to a baby, it would have been hysterical.
Yep.
You
I
know,
probably would have been
a
more
woman of that
receptive to
age
that.
to have a little baby, I think would have been funny, but I don't think anyone got the joke. And I don't think the joke was all that funny.
Well, apparently somebody backstage did. And again, I just kind of sit back and I look at all the funnies that they think they had. And when you really look at some of those, they really weren't funny. It was just an embarrassment to the performer and to the operation.
Do you think Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe look back upon it as one of the great angles of their career and their involvement?
I'm sure they didn't.
No.
I'm sure they didn't. And I would hopefully be able to sit with Jerry Briscoe sometime if we ever have a chance to connect. Pat Patterson was a dear friend. I love him. I really do. And we had a lot of discussions. And I'm sure that wasn't the highlight of his career.
You imagine the meeting, the creative meeting they must have had when they sat down with the talent and said, what we're going to do is she's going to go into the maternity ward and she's going to give birth to a hand.
You see, you're laughing.
But I mean, can you imagine their thought process? Like, what?
I just
She's going to give birth to a what?
I just sit back
A
going.
hand?
Yeah, I go back and go, excuse me? Vicky Guerrero.
Vicky Guerrero, yeah.
Excuse me. It just doesn't make sense. When they produced wrestling, they're on top of the world. They're trying to go back. You know what? You need a little bit of attitude era. You got to have it. And get rid of this comedian crap. And let's get back to professional wrestling. That's why AEW is so successful.
You need some edginess.
Yeah, Mark Henry.
But I think they've overdone it with the comedy
yeah,
to the nth degree. The comedy needs to be eliminated. Again, I make the point, how many times have I said it, Johnny? This is a company that owns their own library of monster success. Hogan and Andre, 33 million people on NBC in February of 1988. What was going on then that was so popular that they could mold to fit 2021? The Attitude Era. Obviously, they're not going to go back to bra and panties matches and men-on-women violence and things like that. But what was working in the Attitude Era that could be molded and fit 2021 to make it more popular than it is now? There are ways, I believe, you can do that.
I agree.
All right.
Necrophilia with Triple H. Come on, that was a real sick.
Again,
segment.
I mean,
Sick.
Who were they trying to appeal to? What demographic?
I don't know. I don't know. Whoever thought that was going to bring people to view, when that thing started, I'll be honest with you, I turned it off.
I think adults would either think it was disgusting or in poor taste and not want to watch it. And I think a kid probably would have been confused.
I'm surprised Paul Levesque did it.
Well, what do you think, folks? Again, we're running out of time on this great program. We send great thanks to the man that is making it happen, the one, the only, the stunt double from the movie Private Parts. And we're not talking about the hand that Mae Young gave birth to. We're talking about the Howard Stern biopic that came out back in the 90s. Mr. Howard Miller, thank you as always. Howard, for all you great fans at home, continue to put your messages in the Premier box. We love to know what you think. The Super Chats are always welcome as they help us keep the lights on. The Patreon is a rockin', is a rollin'. You get the early ad-free access to Wrestling Insiders. You get the acclaimed Studio Shoot interview DVD library is seen by millions online, millions more on the Howard Stern Show, his buddy. You get Patreon exclusive content and the knowledge that you, yes you, are helping keep professional wrestling legends working. It's a great thing. Join the Boston Wrestling Patreon family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. And then, Johnny, I'm telling you, brother, tomorrow's another Saturday. It means we're getting another week closer. Saturday night, November the 13th. It's our 20th anniversary birthday bash from Memorial Hall, Melrose, Massachusetts. I'd say, damn, but I wouldn't want to insult the rest of the talent because the former WCW World Champion, former WWE Tag Team Champion Ron Simmons is one of many superstars that are going to be on hand, one of many legends, one of many Hall of Famers. Get your 2x4s ready, as America's hero, Hacksaw Jim Duggan will be there live. You talk about going from a ho to a huss, huss, huss. The Berzerker, a monster of a man, is going to be there. You're just talking about some rare appearances all around. I'm only worried that you and Marty are going to make it. I know there's going to be a lot of partying going on that week.
No.
No partying with you and Marty?
I'll be bringing Moniece and her son Tommy Nash. We'll be coming there. We'll be selling Fabo Pop, Fabo's new hot sauce.
Fabo's new hot sauce? Wait a minute. I have yet to see the hot sauce. Does it go good on chicken?
It goes very well on chicken.
Well, I am a connoisseur of, I like hot sauce on my chicken.
How hot do you like it?
Medium.
Do you like Johnny Fabulous hot sauce?
It's not going to, make my eyes water and make me cry. That's a little too much.
I have one for hot. I have one for
All right, well, we don't want the program to die, much like John Cena Sr.'s Mike. We will see you next Friday night after SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Until we speak again, folks, head on over to BostonWrestling.com. Get your tickets now. Good night from Boston.
Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. Thank you for joining us. Please give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more great content. Don't forget, you can help keep wrestling legends working. Check out our eBay store and join the Boston Wrestling family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling so we can produce more in-depth shoot interviews.